Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Testing. Can you hear me? Can you hear me in the back? Jake, turn on your ear things. When Jake can hear me, I know it's working. He still can't hear me. Can you hear me now? Okay. All right, so we don't have a gavel. Oh well. Open for business. All right, welcome to the LPMN 2026 convention. It is 2026. It feels like it's already been a long couple of years since January, but here we are. So I don't actually have an agenda in front of me. So, thank you. I didn't actually prepare anything official. I'm sure y'all have all heard it before from me, and I didn't want to just keep recycling old content. It doesn't really change much. Freedom, yay. All right, so we are past the registration, and I had 15 minutes. So welcome, everybody, to the convention. I am really glad that everybody that's here is here. I know we had quite a few people that were messaging me in the last couple of days that intended on coming and couldn't come. Things came up, financial reasons, whatever it is. So they're here in spirit, and there's a lot of people watching to see what we do this convention. This is I really feel like that everybody that's here is a good group, and our extended family, those that aren't even here too, are also just really help build up what we do here in this room. And I appreciate every single person that participates on a regular basis, or even those that, you do what you can. I appreciate that too. It's what we do is we have an extraordinary amount of hurdles in front of us. But there is never been, I think, a time where we have an opportunity to just kind of show everybody who we are and what we stand for and why that's important. Like that time in Minnesota is now. The cards and the chips, or whatever you want to call them, are all falling into place. And we just kind of have to grab this opportunity and go with it, and just, keep working hard and hope for the best. And that's all anybody before us has ever done. We're not different. Our circumstances and humanity are not different. This pattern just is always repeating itself. And so, it's our time to be able to do what it is that we have to do with the opportunity in our situation. And we're not doing it for ourselves. I mean, we're going to get that as a result if we're successful. But we're also doing it for everybody around us, for our friends, our neighbors, our family, our kids, our future generations. They don't even know it, but they depend on what we do. You know what I mean? So for that reason, thank you for everybody that puts time, money, effort. This is a lifelong commitment, and it's there's always that. I think of you have to endure the race, and it's just our time to carry that torch. But when you talk about it that way, the race is never one that's finished. And we just have to keep going with it as long as we can so that we can pass it off and give the people behind us a better set of circumstances than what we started out with. And that's our objective. That's our goal. And that's what we have a responsibility to do for the people that come next. So for that reason, thank you for everybody being here, and I appreciate it. Hopefully I've said that enough for you to believe it. But let's see, what's next? All right, reports and agenda. Joey. Okay, who's next? Credentials report and the adoption of the agenda.
We have 28 voting members signed in at this time, which means that half is 14.
All right, so everybody's had a chance to kind of look at the agenda for today and tomorrow. Up until we'll be doing the director's reports up until 11, treasurer, secretary elections, at-large elections, platform and bylaws. I know that's the most exciting part of this convention, so try to calm down. And then go to lunch. After lunch, we have several speakers. We have Marvina Haynes, who's a good friend of mine, coming up from Minneapolis to talk about justice reform and kind of her backstory. Then candidate endorsement, some petitioning training, and then we have Jake Duesenberg coming from Truth Hurts podcast, the founder of Action for Liberty. And then after that, Scott Horton is coming to speak, and then break for dinner. And then tomorrow, well, it's all up there. So on that note, I need a motion to approve. Yes, thank you, Bob. Bob made the motion. Keith seconded it. Any need for debate or to change the agenda? All right, seeing none. On that note, everybody in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Oh, this is going to go so smoothly. I can just feel it. Motion carries. All right, now Joey, you're next too.
All right. I meant to add it to that folder, but didn't get around to it. All right, I didn't write a script for this or anything, so we're going to do this quick and dirty. I have graphs. First graph, cash balance. The party has had less money at the end of last year than it did at the beginning of last year, but not by much. We've been in a bit of a contraction, but I think that that's over. We're actually doing better in the first couple months of this year than we have in a while, so that's good stuff. Next slide. Our revenue is kind of all over the place. We tend to do really well at the beginning of the year and then really well at the beginning of summer, or at the end of summer rather. And that's where most of our revenue comes from donations, annual donations at the beginning of the year, a stream of continuous donations, and then state fair stuff at the end of summer. And our expenses are mostly around convention and in anticipation of the state fair, with a couple of additional things going on in the summer, petitioning and whatnot. Anyone have any particular questions? Yes, there's the data. Yes, those are many numbers. Chip, did I see you raise a pen for a second? Number of memberships. As of this moment, I do not. I can bring that back up later. Another question? Is this available in download? I can make that happen. Not at the moment, but I can make that happen. All right. Any other questions? Just for comparison's sake, I do have 2024's data in the next few slides, but I'm not sure if that's going to be particularly beneficial to the group if we're not going over any numbers in particular detail. So, all right, I guess we'll forego that. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. outreach report.
Hi, my name's Eric Train. I'm the Outreach Director. 2025 was a non-election year, so our focus in outreach was pretty clearly on membership growth. And we had some good success. We did some telemarketing or phone banking, I mean the same thing. And we picked up 10 new members that way, so that was good. Our largest source of new members continues to be the state fair. That's a good event. And it's a good time. It's fun. I always look forward to the state fair. We added 38 new members at state fair last year. And again, it's a fun time, so look for opportunities to help us at our LPMN booth at state fair. Corner of Judson and Nelson, bright yellow booth. I was there 10 out of 12 days last year, so it's a good time. Looking forward to 2026, 2026 is an election year. Membership growth remains important, of course, but supporting our candidates will be a major focus for 2026, including helping our candidates get on the ballot to begin with, which is petitioning, and we'll be doing some petitioning training here during the convention later in the agenda. And we also have some online petitioning training classes scheduled. If you go to lpmn.org and click the events button, you'll see that. So 2026, focus on membership, of course, but also getting our candidates on the ballot and then supporting our candidates in their campaigns after they get on the ballot. So look for opportunities to do that also. In other outreach matters, I do want to mention that I've informed the chair and the executive committee that I'll be ending my term as outreach director at the end of this. I've been outreach director for a few years. I've made an effort to put systems in place to help a future outreach director. We didn't used to have documents retained in a logical way, like accessible and shared folders, and I'd made an effort to do that. So I've placed in those folders detailed planning procedures and timelines and guidelines and best practices for state fair planning, convention planning, etc. Those will be there. No, I'm not going away. I'm going to continue to volunteer. I already bought my state fair tickets, by the way. They were on sale. They were on sale one day in November, and I bought my tickets in advance. So, like I said, I was there 10 out of 12 days. So I'm going to continue to volunteer, of course, and I'll be available as a resource to a future outreach director to help them in whatever way, short of doing their job. Yeah, so the outreach director position, if you have questions about the nature of that position, like what does an outreach director do and what's the time commitment, whatever, you can see me. And then if you're interested in that, you should let the chair know. So, any questions? Charlie.
What's the net over the last year total assessment? Like, did we grow in numbers? We lost them.
We are slightly up overall. Joey will give the member numbers, but yes, our membership has grown. And 2026 should be a good opportunity and good year for us because the public, not as much as I think they should be, but many members of the public are becoming disillusioned with the duopoly, the red team and the blue team. The red team because of the undeclared wars in Iran and Venezuela and so on, and the ICE overreach. And then the blue team because of their mismanagement and rampant fraud at a state level here in Minnesota. So 2026 should be a good year for us, good opportunity for both our candidates and outreach and LPMN growth.
Awesome.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you.
Hey, you guys. Hey, let's give it up for Rebecca right now. That speech was awesome. Let's bring that energy up here. Eric, Joey, you guys are phenomenal. Nick, everybody needs to know who Nick is. He's doing all this stuff behind the scenes. You guys, we're here. We're doing it. It's something that, they call me the political director, but I know Chip has been doing all this work. Brian's been doing all this work. Charlie and Clinton, you guys. I'm trying to just run my own campaign, and I know it's really tough I get a little emotional because we're doing it. This shit that's happening on the other side of the globe right fucking now. So we need a little more energy here. These guys really have been doing a lot of shit. The mountain that we got to climb here is unreal. So yeah. I've been the political director. I really haven't been doing anything for it. I've been doing as much as I can, but I know Chip has really been doing a lot, so I want Chip to come up here and talk about the petitioning efforts that he's really been doing, showing up at the Capitol and talking to these folks, that evil swamp creatures that we despise. So give it up for Chip, and let's have some fun, you guys. Let's get this energy up in this room. Come on. Yeah, that's right. It's my boy TJ right here.
Hey, thanks, everyone. Good to see you. Yeah, I was just up at the Capitol yesterday testifying on the elections policy bill that the Senate Elections Committee is moving forward with. And it contains a little provision in there pertaining to our nominating petitions. You've got a copy of the petition in your packet today, and they're going to change it on us in a good way. It would remove, after the terrible assassination last summer, there's been a concern about candidate and legislators' safety. And so there's a broad effort to redact public information, candidate information at the campaign, residential information on the affidavits of candidacy at the Campaign Finance Board. I believe they're going to start removing addresses of donors on the campaign finance reports. So it's a broad effort that they're doing. And on the nominating petitions, they remembered us. They're going to remove the candidate's address. The one thing that's a little unfortunate about that, unfortunately, is when people return these signed petitions, it's easy to say, well, just send it to the address on the petition form. That may not appear going forward. They're also going to add the candidate website and a candidate email address to these forms. So I think those are good progressive moves. Whether that passes or not this year is uncertain. Sorry, thank you. It's uncertain whether or not that will pass this year. And if it does, because there's going to be understandable confusion because we have these current forms and new forms. For this cycle, they would allow us to use either one. So maybe some of the campaigns will be using either one. We don't start until the 19th. So just we'll keep an eye on that. On the ballot access front, I have been, I stepped back as vice chair and as political director, and I said the one thing I want to continue to do is to work on ballot access. And so I worked with Representative Drew Roach to draft a bill. It's called the Minor Party Ballot Access Act. And what it would do is for any party that has earned minor party status, and we got that because of Rebecca Whiting's campaign in the last cycle. And there's only one other party that qualified in the last cycle. That's the Forward Independence Party, as they are now known. A number of parties tried to qualify in the presidential race. Not one of them made it. So it is a tough bar to get to. There are 17 states, including Minnesota, that have two tiers, a major party and then another tier, sometimes it's called a minor party. In all of the other states, that lower tier gets access, automatic access to the general election ballot. Why doesn't Minnesota? That's all we would want to do. So I'm making that case to the legislature. They did not hear the bill this year, but Chair Quam on the House side suggested, we could have an informational hearing. And what that would mean is they would have a formal hearing. You know, they wouldn't, the committee deadline has passed, so it can't become a law this year unless they did an amendment on the floor. But that could tee us up for next session. I asked Senator Westland Thursday if she'd do the same. She said, no, I'll think about it. So I don't put as much confidence with her, but we can really move this next year. And I think we have a chance to get this, which makes it all the more important that we get at least one of our statewide candidates to get 1% this year so that we maintain that status. The other thing I just wanted to update you on is we've been approached to do to lead a challenge of one of the ballot access laws. And in Minnesota, to get recognition as a major party, you can do it different ways. We've always done it by trying to get, you know, a statewide candidate to get 5% or now 8% of the vote. And, you know, you qualify that way for minor parties as well. Another way you can do it, and it's never been tried in Minnesota, is to do a party recognition petition. And this, the good news is we have a year to collect, which is actually kind of bad news because we'd have to collect for over a year. The bad news is we have to collect 160,000 signatures, because that's 5% of the people who voted in the last election. That threshold is probably too high, and we'd like to challenge that. We'd also like to challenge, let me back up. Our candidate nominating petition, we always say, you don't have to vote for the guy. Just do us a solid and let's get this candidate on the ballot so others can vote for him. On the party recognition petition, you have to be a member of the Libertarian Party of Minnesota. You have to say, I support those principles. And there aren't many people that I've come across petitioning that are going to just do that for us. There's a lot of precedent in other states where they've done that, and it's a no-go. So we're going to undo that with this lawsuit as well. So I hope the party will support it. We have an attorney that I hope to talk to in maybe this weekend about moving forward with this. I know the other parties, other minor parties, particularly Legal Marijuana Now, is interested in joining us on that. So we're going to have fun. And I'm sure the Forward Independence Party too. That's what I have to report.
Thanks, Jeff.
So, yeah, the question was, are digital signatures acceptable? No, they have to be in ink, and they have to be written by everyone who does it themselves. But I chuckled because when I testified Thursday, I said, because they're all concerned about privacy, and I said, you know, you got to be concerned about the privacy of people who sign these petitions. Why should a neighbor know? Because when you go door to door, you'll see what your neighbor wrote. Why should your neighbor know that you signed your petition, or signed a petition? I mean, it could be the Communist Party that's looking to get party recognition. And you may think, I think they should have the right to do it, but then they're going to think you're a commie if you sign it. That's not right. And so if you went to an electronic system, an online system, that would go away. Another thing that's unique to Minnesota, at least amongst our neighboring states, we have to disclose, our people have to disclose the year of their birth. And for those of you who've petitioned, you come across some people who it makes them very uncomfortable. And you have a conversation for 2 minutes, yeah, it's too bad, but I feel awkward, I feel awful putting them in a position where they have to disclose that. But if you went online, you wouldn't have to worry about that. So that's something that I'm working on.
And I guess the second half of that is, I work in cybersecurity and I'm a digital privacy advocate in every sort of way. There's always a way to do something privately. And when it comes to your, you were mentioning that the candidate address is not
The residential address.
Why was that an issue?
It's a concern about, well, Melissa Hortman was murdered at her home in the middle of the night. And it's the doxing of the issue. Now, all candidates have to prove that they live in their district. And so, you know, when you file your affidavit of candidacy, that's all going to be
Why not use a PO box?
well, you can't right now. You had, the form says, what is your residential address? And it's interesting, not all of the states currently require that. I think 2 of our neighboring states don't require that.
That's all I have.
Any other questions? I have copies of the bill if anyone's interested, by the way.
Thanks, Chip.
All right, communications report. I might have to run between the podium and my laptop, but that's okay. So this last year was very interesting for us, especially for our social media presence. We had a huge activity spike around Christmas break. I don't remember exactly what was happening over Christmas. I think it may have been ice. Was it ice, you think? Ice. Yeah, so ice started around Christmas. That's when we started to see a huge bump in our social media activity. And that's pretty much continued on since. It ebbs and flows for sure. A lot of that has to do with how much effort we put into it. Social media really seems to be, you get out of it what you put into it. So, if there are days that we don't post, well, obviously we're not getting activity on our accounts. So, overall, right now we have 14,308 X followers, 23,708 Facebook followers. We've gained thousands across our platforms just in the last few months. So there's been a lot there. I'm going to scroll down on my laptop. 1 second. All right. Sure.
Is there a way to verify how many of those are bots?
No. No. So there was a question if we could verify if those followers are bots or not. And no, there's no way for us to know. So, yeah, I don't know. It'd be really nice to know, but I'm sure every person on social media would like to know. So, so here you see our engagement chart from X. The top chart is the likes we've gotten. So you can kind of see that, and this goes back a year. So you can kind of see over in December, we had a spike, and then we've had lots of spikes since, much more frequently than we've had spikes in the past. And so, yes, it ebbs and flows, but we've never seen frequent spikes of engagement like this that we've seen in the last few months. So that's been really interesting. So I'm going to scroll down again. So this is Facebook, and you can see a very similar pattern. There's less spikes in the past because I wasn't posting on Facebook pretty much at all. But I did start over in the Christmas break during kind of the ice stuff. And so you can see a very similar pattern to our X activity where lots of spikes and lots of increases in our engagement. So one thing we would like to do more of, which it's a lack of capacity and volunteer effort, is we'd like to do a lot more video content. So, I'm always looking for volunteers who want to contribute to our social media. If you want to do video editing, we have tons and tons of hours of podcasts on YouTube. You can download those and you can chop them up into clips. I'm always looking for volunteers. So feel free to reach out to me, nick.duggar@lpmn.org. It's on the website. You can find me there. But otherwise, happy to take any other questions. I am seeing none, Madam Chair.
All right, so ... Oh, treasurer and secretary elections. I think we'll start with the secretary and open the floor for nominations for secretary for the LPMN for next year. Keith. Eric, do you accept the nomination?
Yes, I do.
Eric, accept the nomination. Anybody else?
I nominate Chip Sagan.
Chip, do you accept the nomination?
No, I do not.
Okay. He says no, sorry. And endorses Eric. Anybody else? Going once, going twice. All right. Closed for nominations. What?
Motion to accept Eric Train as secretary by acclamation.
Okay. Joey made a motion to accept Eric by nomination. By acclamation, sorry. Yes. And Bob seconded it. Sorry, Toby. You can second the next one. All right, any need for debate? All right, hearing none. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, motion passes. Eric, thank you for doing a thankless job for another year. All right, now the next big one. Opening the floor for nominations for treasurer. Nick nominates Chip for treasurer. He also says no. Clint nominates Joey for treasurer. Joey accepts. Wait a second, we got to close the floor first. Hold on. All right. All going once, twice. All right, closing the floor for nominations. Now you can make the motion. And motion and second, just copy paste what they said before. Did you get that Bob said that? Okay. Keith and Bob. All right, oh wait. Any need for debate? All right. Yes.
You promised that Toby could second.
Oh, I did promise that Toby.
I didn't get a chance to jump on it. I'm not second anymore.
I did. But I didn't specify which motion he would have an opportunity to second. I feel like there will still be more opportunities.
Can I take claim for tomorrow afternoon's adjournment?
Sure. Bob, you're going to have to sit that one out. All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you, Joey, for another thankless job. We really this, the executive committee really is actually run by Eric doing all the paperwork and all that kind of stuff in the background, and Joey making sure that our money is squared away. Like, that's who's actually in charge. So they need a lot more credit than what they get. Okay, where are we at? Oh, yeah. Well, at this rate, we're going to go to lunch early. All right. Oh. Okay. So now at this time, we're going to open the floor for at-large elections, and I am taking nominations. And I'm actually going to write this down, so go slow. We have 6 spots for at-large on the executive committee. And basically, the job title of at-large is that you come to the executive committee meetings, which are the 3rd Monday of every month at 7 p.m., and you help us make good choices. We do ask that whoever is in an at-large position, because it is leadership in the LPMN, to come to, participate in, especially petitioning, but volunteer at the state fair. We have opportunities for like the convention board, making sure that this gets up off the ground successfully, well organized, It's going to be, going to help show up. Like the Eric and Joey and who else? Clinton, did you come and what? So they came and scoped this out in advance. So there's, for at-large members, even though it's an at-large position, there is other places where we do need help. So it's very nice if people who are in the at-large position don't just show up to the executive committee meetings, even though, that's more fun than anybody should be allowed to have, but also do the other stuff. So anyways, yeah. Well, I know you guys are here, so anybody that's walked through that door is already a glutton for punishment, and so that's where we're at. All right, so opening the floor for endorsements. Jason.
I nominate Charlie.
All right, Jason nominates Charlie. Charlie says yes. Hold on, I'm writing this down. I know. Well, I like to keep track of what's going on next. Keith.
I would like to nominate Ahmed.
Keith nominates Ahmed. Ahmed, do you accept? I do. All right, Ahmed says yes. Okay, next, Jake.
Nominate Bob Seifert.
Jake nominates Bob. Bob, do you say yes? Jake, Bob. All right. Bob's hand's raised too. Jake nominate, or Bob not, you know what I'm trying to say. Jake, do you accept? Yeah. Okay. Nominate who? Clinton nominates Philip. Philip, do you accept?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Philip, what's your Johnson?
One L or two?
One.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Oh, Eric.
I'd like to nominate
Jim, do you accept? Oh, Jim says no. Eric?
I'd like to nominate Mary Ebert.
Mary, would you like to be on the executive committee at large? Okay. All right, anybody else? How many yeses are we at? 6. We are at 6, and we do have 6 openings. But that doesn't mean we can't take more endorsements or nominations. All right. Oh.
Point of information.
Yes.
If we have only 6 nominations, does that mean we can do our acclamation?
Yes. Do you want to second that in the case that that?
No, I got the adjournment one tomorrow.
Okay. Okay.
I'm claiming that one.
Well, if you claim more than one, you can keep Bob from being greedy.
No, we'll let Bob be greedy.
Okay. Anybody else? All right. Going once, going twice, closing the floor for nominations. All right.
Make a motion to elect by acclamation.
Okay, so Nick makes a motion to accept nominations by acclamation, and Clinton seconds. All right, so the names that we have are Charlie Kuklins, Ahmed Al-Rawazik, sorry. I normally know how to say that, it's because I'm on the spot. Bob Seifert, Jake Dahl, Philip Johnson, and Mary Ebert. All right. Any need for debate for the motion on the floor? Hearing none. So, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations. Thank you, guys. Well, going to have to rethink our agenda for next year. This is going entirely too easy.
Make a motion to take 10 minutes before talking about it.
Sure. We've got a motion.
15 minutes.
Motion for 15 minutes.
Second.
Clinton seconds. The motion is made by Charlie. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. See you guys at 11. round of activity. Thank you. Doing what I can. And actually, I got a little distracted by a baby this morning, and so I forgot something. So Toby, if you would like to, and I need a volunteer to help Toby pass some things out, and if you would like to participate, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But we were going to open the convention this morning with a toast with raw milk. And I just happened to know a guy, so. Yeah, shake it up first. You're definitely going to want to shake that up first. And this is when Thomas Massey got married and they did his wedding, they toasted it with raw milk. I was like, oh, that's awesome. You know what? We should do that. I think we have probably a couple of gallons, so. It's very sweet. What's that? How do you know I didn't? All right, has everybody been served? All right, everybody who wants some, everything is voluntary in this room, so if you don't want to, don't feel like you're being coerced. But I make a toast to us, to the best nonconformists in Minnesota. All right, so, and you should let me know what you think, because I know a number of people in this room have not had raw milk until this moment. All right, our agenda, we're moving on to platform and bylaws. Oh, glasses.
The packet says copy of, copy of.
I see two different, one for platform, one for bylaws.
Right, so open the one that's copy of 2026 bylaws packet.
Got it.
Okay, are we good? Has everybody had a chance to read through this? So a little bit of background on this bylaws proposal is that our current wording in our bylaws makes it so that we have to have the state convention between February 1st and July 31st. Typically, we always do it sometime in March or April. All right, so back up a little bit. Our state convention, our petitioning window conflicts with the national convention's dates, who always has historically been Memorial Day weekend, which is when we should all be out petitioning. And because we have such a short window to do our petitioning, sending all of our delegates, typically people who do a lot of stuff in the party, to the national convention really hurts us in man hours when it comes time for petitioning. And so that has historically always been a conflict with the national convention. Now in June, I think it was, we passed a resolution against the LNC for their continual habit of ignoring the Minnesota parties or Minnesota affiliates, the things that we're challenged with, and then causing that overlap. And they listened. So they made it so that, and it won't help this coming national convention. This coming national convention will still conflict with our petitioning window. But going forward, national conventions will be done, I think it's President's Day weekend instead of Memorial Day weekend, which they had been kind of on the fence about. There was a little bit of movement for them to push back the national convention, because if you endorse candidates sooner, they can start campaigning sooner. And in a time period where, like minor parties, we have more that we have to do in a shorter amount of time. So when you're giving candidates those extra few months, those are vital few months. They had been on the fence about it, and when we passed our resolution against the LNC, they listened, and they did make the decision to start doing the national convention earlier in the year. However, our bylaws prohibit us from being able to do a state convention prior to President's Day, which we need to be able to elect delegates to be able to get to national convention prior to the national convention. So we need to have our state convention at the beginning of January, possibly even in December, to be able to elect delegates in time so they can get ready to go to national convention. So this moves that entire window. So that's the purpose of this bylaw change. It would take the current wording from February 1st to July 31st, and it would make it, oh, hold on, that's the next page.
It's December 1 and November 30th.
Okay, December 1 to November 30th. So it gives us a much bigger window that we can just, it doesn't box us in, which is, we know our situation on the ground, and so it allows us to be more adaptable and our bylaws not to be what holds us up. Does anybody have any questions? Almost, yeah. Yep.
So we could go as early as like September, correct?
Oh, we could.
Well, as early as December 1, as late as
Oh, yeah.
November 30th.
Oh, so November 30th, yes.
Okay, so we could December 1 to November 30th.
Yeah.
Calendar year just offset by 1 month.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see whose hands were raised first. I'll start with Toby.
I would like to see for this change, mainly what it does is it frees us up to schedule the convention any time of the year, starting as early as December all the way till
Okay.
November. So if in the future something comes up like this,
Mm.
at our convention. Yeah, this gives us a lot more flexibility into the future, so I would like to see that. We have this, this is a good idea.
Okay, thank you. Nick?
I just wanted to add a point that the plan is to still hold the convention at a reasonable time and to not make use of the entire timeline that we're given with this bylaw change. It's just that we need the flexibility based on, what's been happening with the national convention. So that's it.
Carrie?
Somebody speak to what the problem or need for extending it beyond, from the last half of the year through November. It doesn't seem like the purpose or conflict with national would, I just can't imagine a situation in which it would benefit the state party to hold a convention after national convention where we would have already needed to have delegates.
So I can speak on this if that's okay. So in the last couple of years, the executive committee has been confronted with a couple of things that needed to happen very, very quickly on ground, and our bylaws actively prevented us from being able to react to situation. So when you're right that we wouldn't typically need to use that time period after the national convention. But the national convention, or the Libertarian National Committee, is also kind of historically has a lot of conflict. And so like by extending that, what we're allowing for us to be able to do is still not be boxed in. So that's ultimately the spirit of changing this to be as flexible as it is, because while we don't know what the scenario would be in the future where that might prevent us, we also don't know what the future holds. So I guess I can't debate on this. So that's the spirit of it, is that, to allow us to be more adaptable no matter what happens, not less. Joey?
I have a little bit to contribute to this. The LNC conventions only happen every other year, so that it bounds our convention dates that actually make sense in those years. But in the alternate years, it doesn't bound our year, our reasonable convention dates. So we could hypothetically, in odd years, hold a convention at a time closer to summer or some other time as reasonably determined by the executive committee and the convention committee.
Yep. Any other questions? Yes, Chip.
I do want to speak in favor of this as well, because I definitely see the practical need. If the national convention is in February, that we need to have a convention for this body, not the executive committee, to select the national delegates, which means a convention in January or maybe December. The major parties, I told you I'm drafting legislation to give us, to give minor parties ballot access. It requires some formalization of what a definition of a minor party is. A major party must have its annual convention. It must have a convention once every 2 years, but at least one of them has to be in the general election year. We can't have that by us because of when our national convention is. We will need the flexibility to have a convention prior to the general election year, for the reasons we discussed. I have, in the draft bill, in the draft bill for the minor party status, I've drafted the minor party definition to give us the flexibility to have a convention at least once every 2 years. No requirement that it occur in the general election year like it does for major parties.
Anybody else? Sorry, we should have had the microphone on sooner. All right, seeing none. So closing the floor for discussion. At this point, I would entertain a motion to pass this bylaw change. Jake makes the motion. All right. You guys are arguing. Keith seconds it. All in favor say aye. All opposed? All right, hearing none. All right, and let's see. Nick, you're next. Yep. Yes.
Okay, so I expect some debate on this one. I think it'll be pretty good. This is modifying the purpose of our party. So previously, the wording of the party, you can kind of see the current wording there. It says, the purpose of the Libertarian Party of Minnesota shall be to function primarily as a political party to elect people to political office in order to achieve the values in the Statement of Principles. Its secondary purpose is educational work for the same goal. So what we're trying to change here is to basically remove the tiering. So right now the current wording says there's a primary purpose and a secondary purpose, and we're really just trying to equalize those and say that both of those are equally as important because I always describe this as a chicken and an egg problem, where if you don't educate people on libertarian issues and libertarian solutions, well, then they're not going to vote for your candidates in the first place. So we kind of just equalize those and say that both of these are equally as important. And so the new wording would be, the purpose of the Libertarian Party of Minnesota is to champion the principles of individual liberty, limited government, and free markets as outlined in our Statement of Principles by advocating for compatible policies, supporting the election of candidates who uphold these ideals, and educating the public and officials about the benefits of a free society. So it really doesn't take anything away except for the fact that it equalizes the importance of them. So that's kind of where this is at. So I think we can probably take questions or comments.
I move to amend the proposal by striking out limited and inserting reducing.
I think it would be reducing. So Clinton's wording, and I guess I'm going to have to jump to my laptop in a second here. It would be, the purpose of the Libertarian Party of Minnesota is to champion the principles of individual liberty, reducing government, and so instead of limited, reducing government and free markets as outlined in our Statement of Principles. Clinton, can you expand on why?
Yeah, so limited government.
With the microphone.
So I feel that limited kind of kicks out more of the anarcho-capitalist side, and reducing is more of a sliding scale. You could reduce to a limited government, or you could reduce to zero. I'm saying let's include both minarchists and anarcho-capitalists in this.
Rebecca, what's the?
You would need a second for the amendment.
All right, so
I second.
all right, so we have Carrie as the second. We're going to open the floor for debate on the amendment. Charlie, could you give him the microphone?
We have a thing. We've been discussing. So I'll speak in opposition of this amendment. I don't know that reducing government is a principle in the nature of the language that I'm reading. I would stick with limited government as the verbiage.
Okay. Go to Jake, I guess.
As much as I understand the reasoning, I would have to be opposed to it simply because normal people, when they read our stuff, when they see eliminating government, that's not going to go over too well.
Well, it says the amendment would be reducing.
Oh, reduce government?
Reducing government.
It's a sliding scale then.
I don't want this to turn into like a 45-minute argument about a comma we had back in 2023. But,
That was the highlight of that convention.
and that's when I started drinking during that convention, although I might already had some Baileys. But in the end, I'd have to say opposite. I don't see the need to do it. I mean, limited government's pretty understandable by most people. And I don't know if it's a necessary change. I thought this bylaw proposal is written pretty well, personally.
I'd like to speak in support of it because many people argue that right now, currently, we have a limited government. That's what they claim. So reducing would be a one-way ratchet, and it could go to zero, but it would be in the direction that we want.
But another note on how regular people would read this, even with the comma there, it's going to sound like we want to reduce free markets too, reducing government and free markets. I understand the purpose of the comma, right? It will agree with the intent. It just like sounds funny saying out loud.
Okay, so our Lord and Savior, Murray Rothbard, actually advocated very much against half measures. So reducing is a half measure. We're trying to just make a half step, half step, half step. He advocated very heavily for limited. So I'm actually opposed to the amendment because it is a half measure reducing. How much do we reduce? 1%, 5%, 90%? I'm advocating against it because Murray Rothbard was very much against half measures like reducing.
Sorry, I didn't see whose hand is first, so, okay, you got it.
I guess I'm in favor of the reducing language because limited is an objective term and reducing is relative, and I would like to know that it should be less than it is currently. And as this gentleman stated, some people claim that it is currently limited, and they say limited, but they don't. Reducing sounds to me like it would be less than the current status quo, which is why I like that. And to address the and free markets as outlined, I think that we could amend that. I was working on what it would be, but a simple change there would fix that little concern. To say something like, and keep free markets, not reduce free markets. Something,
Harry's next, and then you.
No, we're debating Clinton's proposal.
Yes. Reduced versus limited.
Whereas what I'm getting at is what Chase was saying seemed to be like a supplement or further.
No, I think that would be a follow-up if we
That's
pass.
what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say. Is we're only discussing Clinton's proposal.
that's why I was worried about commenting and all. I don't know.
No, you're fine.
That's okay.
I'd like to speak in favor of this amendment. One, the concept of a limited government is an appeal to authority above government itself, that there is something bigger than government that is doing the limiting, rather than people actively working to reduce the government. Secondly, I think that the phrasing limited government, that is something people have an understanding of, but they have an understanding of that through the GOP and their marketing. So that's tapping into picking one of the sides, the red or the blue, rather than blazing our own trail. Third, the Oxford comma, I just have to point it out, corners in the modifier regarding it is not reducing free markets, though if there is concern about that, I just know that I could make a subsequent motion to reverse the order of those phrases.
Any other comments or debate? Oh,
And again, I don't know because of
Would you support the amendment as offered up?
I do support the amendment as offered, because I do believe that you are, like Carrie said, it's making our own path, but also showing people that it is up to, it's a work in progress that we are working on, not just something that almost seems, it sometimes that wording, the limited government, like some people are like, well, yeah, but isn't that what we're talking about already? Or, maybe they don't really understand what could that mean. So reducing does kind of put it in a way that they can see what we're trying to do.
Anybody else?
Okay, I'm new, but are we in a free market? Do we live in a free market when we have a monetary system based on inflation and debt? Is that a free market?
No.
Absolutely not. That's what I try to tell everybody. As an engineer, I saw all of this technology coming through, computers, internet, all that. If we were in a free market, that would be going back to the 8 billion people living on this planet. It doesn't. It goes to the 1% thinkers. So I don't think we've ever been in a free market.
Okay, so because this is an amendment.
Your husband.
Oh. Okay.
All right, the question's been called.
So because this is an amendment, not actually changing the purpose, it's a 50% to pass the amendment. If we pass this, it's a 2/3 vote to get this passed, but the amendment is just 50%.
Are you working in this document?
I've tried and it won't let me, so I'm gonna have to ask about that later.
Okay.
The answer is yes, I am working in it, but it didn't reflect it on the screen, which
I could refresh. I'll go sit.
Okay.
I'll let Rebecca take back over.
We have to vote on the call to question, though.
Oh, okay. So call the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Okay, motion carries. All right.
It's not debatable, but it must be voted on. Yes, it must be, and it's 50%, majority, not 50, majority.
All right, so now we are voting on the amendment, right, Eric?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you read the new language?
So the new language is, the purpose of the Libertarian Party of Minnesota is to champion the principles of individual liberty, limited government, and reducing government and free markets as outlined.
Yeah, I tried to update this document live and it's not appearing on the screen. It replaces the word limited.
Oh,
Sorry.
wait a second, I can't see that.
With reducing. That is the only change in this proposal.
By advocating for compatible policies, supporting the election of candidates who uphold these ideals, and educating the public and officials about the benefit of a free society. So replacing the word limited with reducing. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
All right, so we're going to go to a
Roll call.
Division.
yeah. I need people to count. I need a couple of volunteers. Keith, Joey, Toby. Got it. Thank you. All right, so all three of you do your own separate accounts each time, so that we.
Point of information.
Yes.
Has there been a change to credentials?
Oh, no. No. So no change to credentials.
So a majority is 14.5 plus 1, so 15. 15 is a majority.
All right. When you vote, stand up. All right. So all in favor say aye. All right, so now we are going back to the original markup proposal. I need a motion. So we would take a motion to accept the proposal, and then in the debate, if somebody wanted to amend it, that's where it would happen. So motion to accept changing the purpose of the LPMN. Okay, Bob makes that motion. TJ seconds it. Now opening the floor up for debate on the markup proposal. Anita. Oh, wait.
My concern is we are a political party, and yes, it's like in there slightly that we support election of candidates, but I feel like it's kind of lost now in, and I know it shouldn't be like this is more important and this is less important, but I feel like as a political party that should be a key component of who we are, and it seems like there's so much other stuff, which is great, and I'm not against the other things, I just feel like that we're a party. We're not a educational group. We're not the, Liberty Institute of Minnesota. We're the party. And I feel like it should at least be a little more obvious or in our
Sure.
description of our purpose. So how to word that, I don't know, but I just feel like it's kind of lost in the shuffle a little bit in the way it's written. So.
Jim. Sure, if you want to offer an amendment. Sure.
Just it would read, the purpose of the Libertarian Party of Minnesota is to function primarily as a political party to elect people to political office to champion principles.
Oh, we lost the microphone. Sorry. Or you can come up here if you want to.
It's pretty similar to this, but the purpose of the Libertarian Party of Minnesota shall be to function primarily as a political party to elect people to political office to champion the principles of individual liberty, limited government, and free markets as outlined in our statement of principles. Its secondary purpose is educational by advocating for compatible policy, supporting the election of candidates who uphold these ideals, and educating the public and officials about the benefits of a free society.
Do you want that paper?
Jim, can you visit with me and let me, because I was trying to show what these amendments were like, and it's not reflecting that on the screen, even though I have the document open.
Thank you, Jim.
Can I speak?
Well, we have a motion on the floor, so now we need a second for the amendment. All right, Sarah seconds. Okay, so now we open up the floor for discussion.
So I don't, that completely undoes the point of the modifications to this proposal. The point was to equalize things, not have a tiered system of a primary purpose and a secondary purpose. And so by keeping the language primary and secondary, that undoes the whole point of this proposal. It's fine if maybe we want to go that route, but I would be against that because that was not the purpose of this proposal.
I'm fine if you want to remove the words primary and secondary.
There'll probably have to be an additional amendment after this one though, so.
I get what, I think removing the primary and secondary, I've written that kind of proposal, but I do like this proposed wording, the current proposed wording, the one that, I like that. Again, as an everyday person, as a mom, I like to, that really explains
Okay.
I'm just saying that I think it's a good fit.
Sure. Does anybody else? Anybody else? All right, so right now we are voting on the amendment that Jim proposed,
Which I haven't finished typing, I apologize.
and it'll be ready in a minute.
I just want everyone to be able to see it. And by the way, Jim Ronfit, please be proofing this as I'm typing it too. There.
Can you scroll it up a little higher?
We have had a request from somebody who, a member who's watching the feed, for us to either turn up the volume on the feed or to ask people to speak into the microphone.
Sure.
The problem is that the wireless microphone we have is not feeding into the stream, and there's nothing we can do about it.
So the so if you're listening,
That one goes into the stream, the wireless one does not.
the wireless microphone does not go into the stream. So we can hear it in this room, but I guess they can't hear it. The debate on the floor. So I guess the solution to that would be if you would like to speak on the amendment or to the motions or whatever it is that we're doing, come up here and use this microphone from now on. And maybe actually that'd be a better way of managing it so that we know who is next. Maybe make a line right here, and that would be a solution for people watching. So thanks to whoever's online watching.
So what's on the screen here is missing just the last word. I'm trying to scroll it up, and yes, perfect. There, now it's all there.
All right, so the Wrongstad proposal, which is I guess what we're calling this. The purpose of the Libertarian Party of Amendment shall be to function primarily as a political party to elect people to a political office, to champion the principles of individual liberty, limited government, and free markets as outlined in our statement of principles. Its secondary purpose is educational by advocating for compatible policies, supporting the election of candidates who uphold these ideals, and educating the public and officials about the benefits of a free society. So because this is an amendment, this would replace the proposal above, but when we vote on it, we're not actually voting to pass it, just so we're clear. So it is, again, 50%. So for this to pass and to become the proposal, we need 15 to vote in favor of it. And we have a motion on the floor and a second. So does anybody want to speak in favor or against this? You want to come? Did we have discussion? Everything's starting to mush together. Well, you did already speak. So anybody, to be clear, when we do this, everybody gets one chance to speak in favor or against whatever it is that we're doing. That way we don't have debate that we just can't ever get past on the floor. So everybody gets one chance, and then we move on. All right, so if you have not had a chance to speak, now is your time. Otherwise, we're closing the floor for debate and voting on the proposal. Amendment. You got to come up here. Okay.
I would like to speak against the amendment, mainly back to the original intent of the proposed changes of making it so we no longer have primary purposes and secondary purposes. We have one goal. All of these things are equal. We're pushing education. We are pushing for our candidates. We're pushing them both equally. So I would like to just basically keep all our purposes equal and thus speak against the amendment to the proposal.
Anybody else? Joey, I do have a procedural question. When you have the numbers for people today, does that include me?
Yes.
Okay, because I don't actually vote in this, or because. Okay. All right. So all in favor, say aye. All opposed? Sorry, Jim. All right.
Never mind, I said nothing.
You don't get to overrule the convention, you can say you move on.
I think that's a good idea, though.
So what we would need is somebody to propose an amendment, and that's what you would need to be able to do.
You'd have to work with Eric on that real quick. But it would take somebody wanting to make that proposal.
Okay, here comes Joey.
Do you want me to copy the original version?
No, I think the only,
What does he want to change?
Well, I don't have an emotion on the floor, so whoever gets to it first. Carrie moves.
This would be an amendment of the original.
Yep.
possible for us to work together on one amendment instead of two separate ones.
Can we, Eric, well, can we maybe table this until, like, while they figure it out? Is that proper to table it until we come back to? Oh, wait, because we don't have a motion. No.
We're still in the primary motion.
Yeah, okay, we do have a motion. So we can't do that.
And that is being debated.
Where are we at in our time? All right, just so everybody's clear, we have 15 minutes for lunch, and if this isn't resolved by the time we come to the end, until lunch, not for lunch. And if it's not resolved by then, we just move on. to a proposed or to an amendment.
I'd move to amend the proposal by putting the item listed in the proposal of electing candidates as first in the list, to kind of address the concerns regarding primacy and it being hidden, with what is currently first as being second. So it would read that the limited government free markets as outlined in our statement of principles by supporting the election of candidates who uphold these ideals, advocating for compatible policies, and educating the public. So it puts the election of candidates first, but it doesn't say there's a primary or secondary goal.
All right, we have an amendment. I need a second. All right, Joey seconds. All right, opening the floor for discussion.
I think this is a perfectly acceptable solution. That's all I have to say.
Anybody else? Chip is coming up.
So I appreciate what this amendment seeks to do, but I don't think it quite satisfies at least my concern, and I think maybe what Anita was getting at as well. The purpose of a political party is to be a political party, and we should lead with that. Now, does it have to say the word primarily? I don't, but that's the first thing we should say. And the way this is worded now, we're supporting all these principles by electing people and all that. It's still, it's too late in the wording. I would like to see it up front. And I'm fine removing, the secondary, listing something as lesser than. So I'm okay with removing that, but the political party has to be upfront for my support.
I like the change. I do think that Anita and Chip have great points of what we should be here doing, what our purpose is as a libertarian party, as a political party, but we're not there yet, you guys. There's 40 of us in this room, or 28 of us in this room. We need to get more folks ready to do this. Okay, I've been doing this this will be my third cycle, and this is kind of the stuff I wanted to say later today, but I've got very little support from this party running my elections. I love all you guys, man. I ain't going nowhere, but this is the truth. And the primary objective of electing people, yep, that's kind of what we do, but we got to change the culture, man. The politics comes downstream of our culture, and we got to ignite people to want to be with us. Right now, they think we're freaking Looney Tunes and stuff, but we are logical people, and I know this. So I think eventually when we do get to have BPOUs or whatever they call those things, we call them affiliates, and we have a little get-together in a bar. Rad. I love it. It's great stuff. Don't stop. We need to keep doing that, because I see a lot of new faces that I haven't seen before in the last 5 years. It's killer. But I see some folks that have been here for a long time, and I've learned a lot from Anita and from Chip. But I do think that this change is necessary, and the little compromise right here with Joey and Carrie, this is perfect. So that's my input. Thanks.
Would it be in order to clap?
All right, anybody else speak in favor or against that has not? Yeah, you can come up.
Of course, I walk right in front of the camera. I do very much agree with Chip's statement, but also with TJ's, and I think that by making sure that we put in is shall be to function primarily as a political party to elect people. I know, not maybe to function as a political party to elect people. All I'm saying is that to make sure, because as it in this alternate political party to elect people, that's not there anymore. And we need to, with all the work that we're doing, all the work that Rebecca did, TJ, Chip, everybody is doing, we can't get that, we can't further that if we're not electing people, if we're not getting that percentage of votes. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, everybody who worked on that. We can't get there if we are not putting people front and center and saying, this is who we're running. This is what we are. Because people can read, but they're looking for what we do. And political party tells them that we are doing something, that we are electing people, because only way that we can actually really move a bar, besides all the ideals in the world, is by actually getting TJ and Rebecca and Chip and Charles and getting them in places where they can do something. That has to be the forefront. Not necessarily saying it's we're here to be a party of pushing, but we have to be able to move the bar to keep going. And we can't do that without loudmouths, such as myself, me too, somebody, doing and actually pushing. So that's my concern, making sure that right out the gate, we're letting them know, like Anita said, we're here to be a political party and to help move the needle. So thank you.
All right, anybody else? We do only have 4 minutes left, and then we move on. Eric? Call the question.
So you vote on that.
Yeah,
And
I know.
The reason you vote on that is if you didn't vote on that, it would give one person, me in this case,
Full, yeah.
the ability to take the option of further debate
Got it.
away from everyone.
So we have a call to question on the floor. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, so voting on the amendment, the Locke-Gamache alternate proposal amendment, 50%. If you're all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? No. Okay, raise your hands, hand one, if you're in favor. All in favor, say aye.
Joey, my hand's up, but I got it tight, so I'm gonna put it down.
What do you get? 16. So motion carries. So the Locke-Gamache amendment is now the proposal. This one to pass needs 2/3. What's 19. Right? 19? Okay, so. So now we're voting on passing the final proposal. No, we have voted on the amendment. 19. All right, so the proposal as amended. All in favor?
Is there more debate here or no?
We just did a whole bunch of debate. Does anybody want to do any more, or is that exhausted?
Can you add more amendments at this point? I don't want to, I'm just asking.
We could, but we only have 3 minutes left at this point, so. Call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, now, the amendment as proposed. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? No. All right, we're just going to go ahead and do this officially. Stick your hands up if you are in favor. All in favor say aye. Or raise your hand for aye. $18. All right. We're just going to say all opposed, raise your hand so you don't feel totally left out. Okay. The proposal does not pass. All right. So at this time, it is noon, and it is time for lunch. And we'll see everybody be back. Do we need a motion?
Motion to recess for lunch.
Eric motions to recess for lunch. Do I have a second? Bob seconds. Till 1 o'clock. Bob seconds. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right. still on. Eric, what do I need officially to say to like? All right, gaveling back in. We should get a real gavel. All right, we are back in session. Yeah, okay. And I do have a little bit of information that I was supposed to say earlier, but then I forgot. Actually, Joey, and I'll say it after this. Joey, are we still at the same voting?
Yes, I've not had any new voting members check out.
All right, so credentials are the same as they were before lunch. And then somebody asked earlier what we had for membership statewide. So and this is in some states, when you go to register to vote, you register under a political party. In Minnesota, that's not the case. So the way that we determine who are members are simply by people who pay membership dues to the state party. And so it's a little bit, it's the difference versus people who vote Libertarian and people who actually pay for a membership in the state party. Those are two totally different numbers. And there's a wide variety. Anyways, yeah. So we have paid membership to the party for this year as of March 15th is 185. So like I said, that's a big difference. It is up from 148 last year. So at least we're going up. But that is a big difference. If you go and look at how many people vote Libertarian, it's not just 185. Okay, so our speaker that was supposed to be here at 1 o'clock is unable to come. So I have to apologize for that. In the meantime, we need an amendment to the agenda. Eric?
Motion to amend the agenda to allow for continued discussion of bylaws and platform issues until 2 p.m.
Okay, and Keith seconds that. So the the amendment to the agenda is to allow for more bylaws until 2 p.m., in which time we'll start doing the candidate stuff. And so we have a motion on the floor and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Hearing none. Oh, see, I knew you guys came here just for the bylaws. All right. Oh, glasses. Yes. There has been a Robert's Rule Order change in the book since then that if you disagree with an amendment, you get to throw popcorn at the per person from the floor. That might be in version whatever is next, but no, not this one. Okay, so proposal 3, if you want to turn to your packets, it's on page 3. And I'm going to I'll just read out loud the rationale and then we'll get into it. So the rationale is to clarify proposal 3 is to clarify LPMN affiliation with the LP National Party. The proposed bylaws amendment clarifies that the LPMN's affiliation with the Libertarian National Party. The Libertarian National Party, if functioning well, provides the state parties with strong endorsed candidates for president and vice president, which can leverage state party ballot access. In recent years, however, the Libertarian National Party has suffered from internal dissension, which reduced party effectiveness and had a negative impact on membership numbers at both national and state levels. The proposed amendment clarifies the affiliation between state and national parties, thereby strengthening both parties. So one of the things that I like about a voluntary, when you're a what's the word I'm looking for? Voluntarist. and you believe in voluntary interactions, is that sometimes you choose association and sometimes you choose disassociation. And in this case, this proposal would help us to be a little less connected with the Libertarian National Party. We would still remain a Libertarian state affiliate, but what we're trying to do is focus more on what Minnesota needs and less about what the Libertarian National Party needs. So that by taking some of these, anyways, I'm going to read this. So the markup proposal would be, so if you go down the sheet, affiliation with the National Libertarian Party. Currently it says the Libertarian Party of Minnesota shall remain affiliated with the National Libertarian Party. What we want to change it to says, unless the party votes at state convention by at least 2/3 majority to end such affiliation. So what it originally said was, and shall endorse their candidates as long as they remain consistent with the stated principles. So if the National Libertarian Party does something that the state affiliate, us, doesn't like, we can choose not to follow up their bad decisions. Does that make sense? Do you have anything to add to that, Eric, or am I explaining it properly? Okay. It is kind of a complex issue because we've been so associated with the LNC, but this would help us have more autonomy in our state affiliate, which is still, we're the Libertarian Party of Minnesota, and we're not going to do anything to compromise that, but less affected by bad choices by the LNC, or at least have the ability to do something about them. Yeah, so by Robert's rule, every decision that we make doesn't actually take effect until close of business at the end of the convention. So not when we pass an amendment, it's when the convention closes at the conclusion of the length of time. So in this case, it would be tomorrow, close of business. Any questions? Yes. Oh wait, can you come up so you can do it up here?
My question is that it says unless the party votes as state convention by at least 2/3 majority to end such affiliation. I wanted to define the party there. Are we talking about the LNC or the MN? The LPMN. LPMN. Okay.
Anybody else? Okay, so on the next page, the additional language that would be changed. So at the top of page 4, it would also say, as a vote at state convention regarding affiliation status with the national party takes effect at close of state convention, the selection of delegates and alternates to represent Minnesota at the national convention shall be void if the state party has voted to end affiliation with the national party. So just kind of reiterating what it said before. All right. This is a kind of a complex issue. Mostly it's like we did mention earlier that we passed a resolution in June against the LNC. And the basis of that was because the LNC was very dysfunctional, which has been kind of a chronic problem with the LNC. And we passed a resolution of no confidence against the LNC, which prompted them into action for things like changing the national convention dates, that kind of stuff. But we do still want to keep up the pressure to make so that the LNC knows that in the case where they just are acting in their own self-interest and not in the interest of libertarianism nationally, that we do have a means to address it, at least in Minnesota. Any questions? Charlie? Okay. No. So, yeah, I guess.
Maybe a point of clarification.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not sure if this runs into debate, but I want to ensure.
Come up to the mic.
I'm sorry. I just want to ensure that we don't run afoul of national party bylaws by removing the endorse their candidates, as long as it and they remain consistent with the statement of principles. I believe in the national party bylaws, it states that you can't endorse candidates from another party. Okay. Well, I'll hold for debate.
We have time for that.
We'll hold for debate.
That's a totally different proposal in itself. That's not the proposal. Yeah, that's not currently this.
Am I on the wrong proposal? It's right there.
Oh, you're about to. Yes, so no, this is it. So, just so to tell you what the future holds.
Am I on the wrong proposal?
No, you're on the right proposal. Yeah, but what I'm showing you is that.
Yeah, I think it is a matter of debate. That's fine.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to show you, is that there's something else after this in which this address.
All right. Read further, Charlie.
So my question is, and I do not know the answer. Under this proposal, it says we could disaffiliate with a 2/3 vote of this body. What is the threshold today, if we would?
It is 2/3 today, point of parliamentary
Thank you.
information. It is 2/3 today as per Roberts 57-1 and 56-50. The reason that we're saying this here, 2/3, in this proposal, is not everyone's an expert on Roberts, okay? The bylaws is a shorter document than more people are maybe familiar with. So the number 2/3 is not changed by this proposal.
Thank you.
All right, does anybody have any other questions? And to be clear, this isn't being used with an intent to disaffiliate, but that if something goes wrong in the future, the LNC knows that we are not under their power, they are in fact under ours. Carrie?
Pure question. What about the prior language prevented any of this? If the interpretation is, as long as they remain consistent with the statement of principles, which include to get people elected. I can answer. So if they're doing it.
Okay, so do you want to come up here and ask your question? Because there's other people watching too.
My question was just regarding what about the prior language would have prevented this, as it requires as long as they remain consistent with the statement of principles, which, as we discussed earlier, includes to get candidates elected. So if they're doing something which is actively harming us from petitioning to get candidates elected, that we would have been able, so I don't understand necessarily what about the prior language would prompt or prevent this.
So the mechanism that prevented us from disaffiliating at our own will is the national bylaws. And so this here would be an insertion into our bylaw to override a national bylaw, because I believe the national bylaws requires disaffiliation to happen at the national convention. Whereas this we are saying is actually no, we believe in, the right the right to secede essentially. So this basically says, no, actually it's our will whether or not we want to be affiliated, not the national parties.
Could Eric address that?
Yeah.
Because I had the same question. Is that not right? Half right? Half right. I'll take half right.
All right, so the LP National Party has been in a state of dysfunction and has made some bad decisions. And this proposal has two purposes. One, it makes it clear to members of the Libertarian Party of Minnesota what the threshold would be to disaffiliate. But it also, by doing this, it's also kind of a message to the LNC that we've been unhappy with them. The majority required for us to secede, divorce ourselves from the LP National is 2/3. It's 2/3 today. That's Robert's 57-1 and 56-50, okay? Now, if we did secede, divorce from the LP National, there are secondary issues, but we're not divorcing from the LP National. So that's a future maybe question, not a present question. But for example, the Libertarian Party National has claimed copyright law to the words Libertarian Party. So if we did divorce, secede from the LP National, they would have an issue if we tried to use the Libertarian Party words. But again, this proposal doesn't divorce us, separate us, secede us from the LP National. It clarifies for people who may not be familiar with the full Roberts. The bylaws is a shorter document. It tells people it's 2/3, even though it's already 2/3. And it's kind of a message to the LP National that we're unhappy with some things that they've done. And if we decided at a later date, which we are not doing now, and as Nick mentioned, this change would not be effective until the conclusion of this convention anyway. But if at some future date we did decide to separate ourselves from the LP National, there would be a range of issues that would have to be addressed. Those issues are not necessary to be addressed at this time, though, because we are not actually separating from LP National. So, does that make sense? Any questions? Anita.
So, do I have to go up there? You can tell me and I can ask. Okay, I'm just asking, so the only time we can disassociate is at convention, or can we just?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. The executive committee, for example, would not have the ability to do that. It's the convention body.
Okay, thank you. So you want to, people online? Yeah. So the question was, who has the authority to disassociate? And it is only the convention body. It could happen no place else. We would have to have everybody in a room just like this, and it would have to happen here, if it were to happen at all. But like Eric said, there is if we were to make that kind of decision, it would, there are a whole lot of other things that would have to be addressed very quickly afterwards. No, not yet. Okay, so motion made to adopt the proposal. Do I have a second? Bob seconds. Keith did. All right, and now we're opening up the floor for debate. So if you would like to come in to speak in support or against this, now is the opportunity.
I would like to speak in support of this proposal. Main reason is we are a grassroots organization. It is those of us in the local states that are actually pushing forward, and we support the national party. The national party provides us with some help, but we support them. They don't support us. We want to make it clear that we are in charge, not them. Our affiliation is under our control, and it is our choice whether or not we affiliate with them. This proposal does not break us apart from them. It just makes it clear that we're the ones who have the option to separate from them. And so I am a very big advocate to support this proposal so that it is clear to everybody, all members, at any point, that if we decide in some future time that we wish to separate from the National Party, we can at this convention. Not this year's convention, but in some future convention. So I am a highly supported because we are very individualistic. We have the power. Let's keep it.
Right. While I recognize we do have the power to affiliate with the national party, the national party has the power to disaffiliate us from their party. And if we run afoul of their bylaws, with a 3/4 vote, they could disaffiliate this party and remove the libertarian name from it.
Eric? You wanted to go? I'll let you go.
Charlie's correct that in the future, at some future date, at a future convention, which is not this one, that if we separated ourselves from the LP National can take action, as Charlie said. But for clarity, this proposal does not separate us from the LP National. All it does is spell out how that would occur at some future date, not this one.
I kind of wish Bob Odden was here, because I remember when we were having a committee meeting over this proposal, I had said in that meeting that I don't particularly care about the national bylaws, and Bob seemed quite pleased with that. That's kind of my position is yes, I think what Charlie is saying is true, is that this is a two-way relationship in that if we do piss off National, that they could in fact disaffiliate us. But because we're not getting anything from National and they're actively harming us, I don't particularly see that that should be a reason that we continue to be beholden to them. I understand there are consequences to disaffiliation, as Eric has brought up, but I feel confident that we would be able to address them.
All right. I am officially handing the gavel to Nick so that I can come up here and actually speak, not as the person chairing the convention, who technically can't debate. So that's why. Here, Nick. Thank you. So I am speaking in support of doing this because for the last, well, it's not even been just the last year, it's been years. And was one of the reasons why I was hesitant at all to ever even